Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Veterans Arts on Air. I am your host, Melvin A. Lyons, along with my co-host,
Sarah Eilefson.
Alrighty. And we have got a great show for you all today. It is Veterans Day weekend coming up this weekend. All right, Veterans Day being on Monday. And we've got a lot of interesting things going on in and around the National Veterans Arts Museum that we cannot wait to tell you about.
Always a big weekend for the
All
museum.
right, absolutely. Also, while you are at it, for those of you who are out there who may have some stories about yourselves and other resilient veterans, some of the things that you guys may have went through, we'd love to hear from you guys today. So please feel free to give a call to the number that is flashing there on the screen. That number is 312-738-1060. Well, how about we get right into this? All right.
Good.
Monday. All right. We have got a lot of things going on. The museum will be open from noon until 9. One of the first things that we will have will be a color guard that will be starting right there at noon.
And that color guard is volunteers from the local high school, Taft High School, their JROTC program. So that'll be nice to see.
All right. JROTC programs putting in work.
Yep.
Also, the museum will be having light refreshments from about 5 until 9 that day as well.
Yep. We're opening a new exhibition. So, of course, we have to celebrate.
Absolutely. Celebration is key. The keynote speaker for Veterans Day this coming up Monday would be Dr. Jack Bulmash, the Chief of Staff for the Hines Veterans Affairs Hospital. And he'll be speaking around 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock he'll go on.
All right, sounds pretty interesting. Have any idea what he's talking about?
Maybe I did read the speech. I can't reveal.
You read the speech? See, you got to let me know these things. Like sometimes
I got
like
the inside scoop.
All right, I like to read speeches and stuff, you know. That's all right. So that gives us something to look forward to there on Monday.
Yes.
Also, Monday will be the premiere of Veterans Voices. All right, performance piece, correct?
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that there?
Yes. So in Erasing the Distance found out what kind of an exhibit we were putting together for this Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm.
So this exhibition, Esprit de Corps, they said, well, we have this great program that sounds like it's very much aligned with what you're doing. Maybe we should collaborate. So Erasing the Distance is a performing arts group based here in Chicago.
Okay.
And they do documentary-style theater. They interview or they go out into the world and they see what people have to say about a certain subject.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put it on the stage. And so this year their theme is veterans, of course.
All right.
And they'll actually be performing on the first floor. They're borrowing space from the Filament Theater Group, which is right below us. So
Great.
as we have our exhibition on, they'll have 6 performances over the first 2 weeks of their new show as well.
All right, so that would be a great show. And again, those shows will run the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this coming up week, as well as the week following that. Unfortunately, the show on Veterans Day, or actually I can't say unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good
The
thing.
show on Veterans Day has already been sold out, so the show is filling up fast. So again, there's 5 other shows that you guys have to choose from. So we would love for you guys to come out and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Hear about the stories from other veterans in and around this city. Also, for those of you who have children and who would like to come and see the show, the National Veterans Arts Museum is partnering with the School of the Arts Institute to offer free art making workshops for youths aged 3 to 18 during the performances. So youth can participate in art making classes while the parents attend the show, or if you want them to come out and hang out and learn some art stuff, it'll be a great time to come and hang out.
Absolutely.
And learn how some of our veterans and stuff make their art. All right, so let's get into the best part of this, or the meat of all of this, which
Right?
is what's going on, the premiere of the Esprit de Corps
Yes.
exhibit.
I'm thrilled.
All right, so I know you've been working kind of hard on this. We've been talking about this for the last couple of months now.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
all right, well, once again, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about the Esprit de Corps. And understand the meaning of the term is French, correct?
Yes.
All right, which is French for...
Spirit of the body is kind
Spirit
of how
of the
it
body.
directly translates.
Yeah.
But mostly it means comradeship or working together as a group, making sure that no one gets left behind.
No one left behind.
Yeah.
I heard that one a time or two around
Right.
here, working in education. Oh, they say no one got left behind, but I'm not quite too sure. But that's just me, though. All right, so, and again, the exhibit, Esprit de Corps, will be featuring arts from veterans of Vietnam, the Iraqi War, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, both of which I was involved in personally, as well as the Global War on Terror.
Yep.
So the show traces the process and roles of therapeutic art from some of these artists and their expressions of how they deal, I guess, from time to time now.
Yeah, we tried to space it into kind of three major areas of experience. So we have two pieces of art that were actually created in country, one by a Vietnam veteran and one by a Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran.
Okay.
So we have them actually making their art while they're still right in the midst of their experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So then the bulk of the show moves into how do you process some of these experiences? And then the last pieces in the show try and engage the audience. How do we get to a communal understanding and sharing of this experience? What do the viewers, what do the visitors have to say and think about all of this?
All right. Well, that is an interesting show. And again, the premiere will be this coming up Monday, this Veterans Day, which is always a good day to actually sit back and kind of reflect and do things of that nature. And if you're looking for some place to go and reflect, the National Veterans Arts Museum would be a phenomenal place to start.
And you know I have to say it, we're free and open to the public, so we'll be open from noon to 9 on Veterans Day and 10 to 5 Tuesday through Saturday.
All right. And did she mention it was free?
Right.
It's free. One more time.
It's free.
Good to go. So, again, the show features art from a number of different artists. A few of their images, just a quick little sneak peek, we have brought to share with you all today.
Fabulous.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to put up a couple of these images on the screen as we are going through, and then ask you to tell us just a little bit about what we are looking at as we are going through this one here.
Sounds fabulous.
And again, while we are going through this, again, the number here at the station, 312-738-1060. I would love to hear from you all, so please call in and talk to me. So here, of course,
the exhibition highlights the spirit of creative resilience. So often the conversation about what happens to veterans when they come home is about the dark or the difficult side. And this show wants to say, well, of course there's that, but then how do people work through these experiences? And for so many of the artists in our collection, and for all of the artists in the show, it's been, well, through art. That's how I express myself, and that's how I move on.
Good to go. All right, so let's take a look at this image here. Who are we looking at here?
This is that first piece that I had mentioned. These are journals by Jerry Fresh that he actually started while he was in Iraq.
Okay.
And it exploded. It's now a series of about 30 journals, and he's loaned us the very first 4.
Okay.
And so visitors are welcome to put on a pair of white gloves and leaf through his art and his writing. He often collects photographs or things that he experienced or encountered while he was there. So it's a really multimedia, interactive kind of slice of his life while he was serving.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting, especially since I still have my green journal that I did all of my writings and stuff in while I was over there. I went through that thing once about a week or so ago. Some interesting stuff. All right. What about this one here?
So
I like this.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah.
This one's by Jonathan Hancock.
Okay.
And it's called Pan-Seared. It's huge. You have to see it to believe it, though. Actually, Mel, you can speak more to this. You work in the big medium.
Oh, yeah, the graffiti arts and things of that nature. Yeah, you give me a wall, I'll take up the wall, and we'll make it come to life. So, yeah, this looks like a very interesting piece. I would love to see this thing in full. I'm actually looking forward to the time I get to come to the museum and experience that. So, all right. Ooh. And other arts here. All right. So, kind of a different tone to what we've been working on so far. Kind of has more of a Vietnam-esque feel to what we're looking at.
Spot on.
All right. I'm getting good at this stuff. Yeah. All right. So whose work are we looking at here by chance?
This is Joe Fernelli, one of the museum's founders. And he's still with the museum today. He works as our veteran liaison and our chief preparator. He's just a fabulous guy. If ever you get a chance to come to the museum, he's one of the ones you want to chat up.
Joe's one of the first people I met coming into the museum, and he is absolutely a character. I love the stories. Just not only just the stories of him and being a veteran, but just his life here and around Chicago.
Yeah.
The changes that this city is going through and things like that. And if you happen to be lucky enough to catch Joe while he is at the museum, like, that is a phenomenal guy. Like, by the time he starts to talking and you guys start interacting, pretty sure you're not going to want to leave. Like, he's got so much knowledge and so much wealth about this city and being a veteran and arts and all of those things. So it's a great person to actually have to sit down and talk to.
Yes,
all
I agree.
Okay, so we're going to move on just a little bit further here and take a look at this one.
This is Thomas Gilbertson.
All right.
It's called Nightlife, The Persistence of Memory.
Okay.
It might be kind of hard to see on your screens at home, but there's actually an image embedded in the image. So there's a photograph behind cracked glass in that little square in the center. And this is just one of the most deeply textured pieces. How many times can I say? You've got to see it in person to really get a sense of what it's like.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I can kind of see some of the stuff, but I definitely can't wait to go and actually take a look at it. All right. Well, while we are continuing on, I'm going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get into this Veterans Day thing and talk a little bit about the things they carried. The Things They Carried, which is a wonderful novel written by Tim O'Brien. And I think it kind of speaks to the central issues of the Esprit de Corps. So how about we go ahead and share a little bit about that? You know, some people actually like to sit back and read these things that, you know. So I'm actually looking forward to hearing what it is that you have to say from this wonderful book of ours. So,
full disclosure, in my other life, I'm an English teacher, so of course I have my English book here with me tonight.
Yeah, and another disclosure, I slept through English class. Don't tell nobody.
F.
Hey, I passed. It took me a minute, but I got through it.
Well, so I was teaching this to my class the other week, and I came across this passage, and I thought, well, this is exactly what this show was doing. Tim O'Brien hit the nail on the head. I do not look on my work as therapy, and I did not look on my work as therapy, and still don't. Yet it occurred to me that the act of writing had led me through a swirl of memories that might otherwise have ended in paralysis or worse. By telling stories, you objectify your own experience. You separate it from yourself. You pin down certain truths. You make up others. You start sometimes with an incident that truly happened, and you carry it forward by inventing incidents that did not in fact occur, but that nonetheless help to clarify and explain. And I was talking with Joe this morning. He was saying how when he came home, it was hard to talk about it. And how the art in the museum and how the art that he's been making has helped him find a different vocabulary to talk about things that are hard to talk about in words.
Absolutely. That is pretty much dead right there. When I got home, again, it was constantly asking the questions, how do I say this? Where do I say this? Eventually was lucky enough to find a medium in order to say it, and then got it out and stopped talking about it for a very long time. So yeah, I could definitely see how that embodies what it is we have been talking for. So looking at therapy, the way art kind of helps to heal the wounds, music, theater, the visual arts, all things that you can see in and around the Veterans Arts Museum, which, again, that's the main reason our museum is there, to give those artists and those veterans a place to showcase around other people who are just like themselves. So, and again, if you are out and about near the National Veterans Arts Museum, it's the perfect place for you to go to kind of get just a little insight as to what it is some of our veterans actually go through. And again, it's free. Check it out. All right. So,
well, I've been bragging about Joe, and I would definitely love to have a caller call in and let us know about a resilient veteran they know in their lives. If you want to give someone a shout out, please do give us a ring.
All right. So, yeah. All right. So, resilient veterans, Veterans Day. I was told that you had some questions for me, but we're going to go on a little bit further before we get into that. We're going to talk about some of the other things the museum has going on before we get into my stories, because
you're just trying to push it back.
Huh? No.
Look at him.
No, I love my stories. My stories are great. I got a lot of them. But anyway, so the museum has also gotten themselves involved in two different traveling exhibits. The first of which the veterans have at the Sioux Galleries, correct?
You know, I think so. SOC, maybe?
Oh, the SOC Gallery.
S-A-U-K.
S-A-U-K. All right.
I'm sure some of our viewers are more familiar than we are.
All righty. Well, okay, but this would be in room B140 at West Aurora High School. This show will be up from November 6th through the 9th and will feature art by wonderful veterans like Frank Dahmer, all right, and a few others. So if you are out in that area, it would be a great place for you guys to go and see some of the stuff that the museum has traveling around. All right. Also, the UIC.
Yeah.
All right. We also have another
Not too far
show
from where we are now.
up at UIC, a couple of blocks from here.
Yep.
That will be running from the 9th through the 16th. The opening ceremonies will take place from November 11th, 5 p.m.
So a little bit of competition there, but if you can only make it to one, We understand.
All right. Yes, I understand. You should go north. Way north. Not that far north. But anyway. All right. So there will be daily viewing hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
The show will be up in UIC's African American Cultural Center's Adams Hall, room 200. All right. And that campus is located at 830 South Halstead Street. So literally a couple of blocks from where we are right now. All right. And I believe we have a couple of images from that exhibit. So
We do, yeah.
again, quick little sneak peek. Not going to show you all of it because we actually want you to go out and see the show. So here we go. We have an image of some of our folks actually treading through, going from one side to the other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about this one? Oh, yeah.
The photograph is by Paul Leicht.
All right.
And actually, as you take a spin through the other images,
All right.
you'll see quite a bit of thematic unity. This one's a Laszlo Condor,
Okay.
maybe one of our most famous photojournalist
Okay.
artists. And Chris Bongswat, a younger veteran and very, very talented, was in a show at the museum probably 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. This place looks kind of familiar. Kind of weird. I don't know about that one. But yeah, so just a few of the images you can actually see down here at UIC Halstead. So please come on out, check out the artwork that we have displayed all across the city.
And we love traveling exhibitions because we never have enough wall space. So it's nice to be able to borrow some walls, get some more art out into the world.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is. I love mobile exhibits. Like I know several people who have either have them or have been working on getting them started. Wonderful friend of mine, Khalil, back in Michigan, who runs a mobile hip hop museum that travels all across the country.
Oh, cool.
I was actually up doing a show in Elgin a couple of weeks ago, and the Veterans Hospital actually has a mobile exhibit that they had out on display, up north, out in that area, right around. I want to say it was Labor Day.
How mobile is this exhibit?
It's in a trailer.
Wow.
It was in a trailer. It was
Okay.
it was parked right outside of a federal building.
Okay.
And yeah, it was like right outside of the Vietnam Memorial that they have set up out there in Elgin. And I want to say it was the Veteran Hospital. I want to say it might have been the Heinz Hospital. I don't remember. I was ripping and running as I was on my way to my show. Like I happened to run through this field and saw it, and like I stopped. I'm already running late because.
But you gotta take time for this.
But I gotta take time and stop. Like I sent my guys on with the gears. Like you guys go set up. I'll be there in 5 minutes, and we kept it moving. So,
Okay.
But
That
yeah,
sounds cool.
So yeah, absolutely. All right. I guess this is the moment. I can't stall you too much longer. So.
The light's shining on you now.
Well, that's okay. I look good in this light. See.
Well, we invite callers, of course, if you want to talk about a resilient veteran or what Veterans Day means for you, give us a ring, 312-738-1060. Save Mel for my questions.
Yeah.
Because I am going to ask him about the significance of Veterans Day.
All right. Well,
Now let's start at the very beginning. Before you enlisted,
before I enlisted,
did you even think about it?
not really. I come from a family that has a pretty big military background. My grandmother had 7 kids. 5 of them served in the military at some point in time. So I was aware that Veterans Day was around, but to me, in my younger years, that was literally just a day out of school. Back then, of course, social media wasn't what it is now, so it wasn't like I was reaching out to each of these relatives saying, oh, hey, thank you for your service, anything like that. Mm-hmm. Of all of those people or family members and friends that I knew in the military, I knew of one who was served in the first Gulf War. And that was the only one that I knew of for sure. So again, it was one of those things to where one year, I believe, I want to say I was 4th grade, I sent like packages and stuff like that over to people who were serving during the first Gulf War. But outside of that, I don't think Veterans Day really made much of an impact.
Okay.
So.
And then move forward. You're in.
I am a veteran.
And November 11 rolls around. And do you even think about it?
I'm going to be honest with you. Up until a few years ago, it never really crossed my mind. Again, it was one of those things like I did my time and I served my time, and being a veteran, it didn't dawn on me that Veterans Day was a significant thing until other people would walk up to me while I'm walking around the streets or I'm out somewhere and say, hey, happy Veterans Day. And it's like, oh, yeah, thank you. So it took me a while. For me, knowing that November 10th, is the Marine Corps birthday, which is something that had been embedded in my head for years. So that was always the celebration in November. It was the Marine Corps ball. It was the Marine Corps birthday. And it didn't dawn on me until a few years ago. I was actually asked to speak at the Vietnam Memorial downtown Chicago on Veterans Day by some friends of mine from the Iraqi Vets Against the War. And this was the first time I had spoken out publicly about my experiences and things in Iraq since the year I'd gotten back, so since 2003. So it had been 6 years for me from the time that I actually did my time overseas and then came back to this point. So it was about a good 6-year break where none of it really crossed my mind. And again, when I first got home, like I said, there were so many stories, so many questions. How do you get those out? So I remember I wrote a one-man show called Boot, where I talked about my experiences from boot camp on through my time in the war. After the show, it was a one-night only thing. After the show, I sat down with the audience. I answered every question that they had. And I told them, ask it all now, get it out of the way, because after this day, I'm not speaking on it again until I'm ready. So, I came up with simple answers to the questions that people would ask, because they would often ask, Iraq, what was it like? I was like, well, other than the heat and the violence, it wasn't that bad. Unfortunately, it was always hot and it was kind of violent, constantly. So, but I found ways to
kind of shut down the conversation.
This is
what did you expect?
Other than the heat and the violence, it was great. It was paradise. But so it took me a while to finally get into it. And then after that, again, 2009, was asked to speak at the Vietnam Memorial for the first time. And I think it went well, spoke from the heart, from the truth. So it was very passionate. I was asked to speak again a year later. And I've gone around since then. I've worked with several organizations, giving speeches all across Chicago about veterans and Veterans Day, veteran affairs, things like that. It's actually how I got introduced to the National Veterans Arts Museum, which was me just going down after speaking at the Vietnam Memorial one day, and they're saying, hey, there's something going on at this museum. You should go check it out. It's the first time I'd ever stepped foot in the museum. And I think 2 weeks later, I got the phone call asking me if I would be willing to do a mural at the museum. And so that was kind of the history of it from there.
Yeah.
And I've been hanging around ever since.
Right?
And can't seem to get rid of me.
We're not trying.
All right. So that was kind of it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Veterans Day now, I know it's there. It kind of sticks out a little bit more, but again, it's a day where I'll sit back and I'll reflect on my experiences a little more than usual. But again, being a veteran, those thoughts, those feelings don't ever really go away. They're always there. It's just now it's more in the forefront and visual to other people.
Yeah. And you were saying with social media, maybe you get a little bit more outreach on the day?
Yeah. A lot more people start reaching out and sending messages and showing love and things of that nature. But that's pretty much it. Again, and as much as I love people and being accessible to folks, and I'm really a laid back kind of guy for the most part. So if you see me on the street and you know I'm a veteran, thank you for your service and all of that stuff, which is I always love it. It's a humbling thing, I guess, because it's like, thank you for your service. It's like, you're welcome, I guess. No problem. I don't know. So it's always just a humbling experience, just knowing that there are people out there who actually do appreciate what it is that we do. Because not everybody feels that way. So some people, look at us as like, you shouldn't have done it in the first place, and the anti-war people and all of that. So, it's kind of a toss-up. It's a 50-50 kind of thing.
That actually was another question I wanted to ask you. Definitely as an educator, and I normally teach war narratives, one of the biggest struggles I see my students face and that I see people at the museum face is knowing how to address a veteran and talk about that experience without offending them or without asking questions that aren't fair or aren't appropriate.
Well, for me personally, if I am around it, then there's a perfect way to get into it. Hello, like I say, we're still normal people. So, approach the conversation like you would approach any conversation. And just be mindful of the fact that you may say something that is going to set someone off. Because you never really know what their experience is like. So, we always say, if you want to know something, you have to ask. But be careful how you ask it and just kind of fill out the person that you're talking to. Like me now at this point, I'm pretty much an open book. There's really only one question that I just, for really don't like to be asked, and that is, the question that I get from my students a lot, which is, have you ever killed someone? I don't really want to answer that one.
Yeah.
But again, we'll get into a lot of those things a little bit later on. Unfortunately, it is time for us to go ahead and wrap this up. So for those of you who would like to, again, National Veterans Arts Museum, nvam.org. I'm Mel L.
Sarah Eilefson.
All right, I will catch you guys again next month. Peace and blessings.